my name is Thanh. I'm 13 years old. I'm from Đức Trí Secondary School. So, first thing I want to ask you a question. That is, have you ever been scolded by your parents or not understanding, what they say to you, or think that they're not understanding you at all? And if you have, please raise your hand. And thank you. So, comes with a quick comparison between the past and the present. You can see that in the past, kids have to fed and clothe their own self. Also, they study for themselves. They study for the new life. While now, the kids in the present are well-fed and dressed nice by their parents. They study for their best school, or maybe in the reality is study for their parents' dream school. For example, the law school, the economic school, international trading school, anything. Here's a generational classification. So you can see here the different generation divided by the year they were born. You can see yourself in this board too. By that, you can see that here's a very little gap between these generation, and that gap is what we're gonna talk about today. And it causes a lot of problem in our daily life with the society. For example, with our family, with our school, or with our workplace. And that gap is called generation gap. Then we're gonna learn that what is a generation? A generation is the people born and living at the same time regarded collectively. People define generations as the idea of youthful rebellion against the established order of the society. Or other analyzers believe that Other analysts believe that generation is one of the fundamental social categories, and others view generation's importance as being overshadowed by other factors, including class, gender, race, education, among others. So, comes with a quick research. If you search for the phrase generation gap on Google, it appears for over 2 billion results. But if you search for the phrase how to close the generation gap, it shows for almost 6 billion results. So what does it say about that? The newspaper only wants to show how to solve it, but not saying what it actually is, a generation gap, so people cannot understand what is that. Then we have another research on Google Trends. The amount of search for generation gap is higher than how to close the generation gap, and it shows that the needs of people to understand what exactly is a generation gap is lacking of results. As I said, generation gap causes a lot of problems. It causes misunderstanding between parents and kids, the teacher and the students, the employee and the leaders. These are the specific example of serious problem from generation into our life. It can be as depression, anxiety, trauma, stress, and it comes to unexpected thing that we see on all over our feet today. And I'm really sorry for it. So maybe you guys are gonna question that. What is the cause for all of these bad things? And maybe this is gonna be trigger, but the thing that leads to generation gap, that is love. Love in different mindset causes generation gap. So why is that? Remember, parents used to be a kid once, but a kid's never be an adult. You should remember that if you are parents, you've been taught by your parents when you were young. So you use the same way to thought your children and think that it will make them success. It will make them be a good person when they grow up like you. But maybe times change. So we should come with a solution, right? So this is my opinion. You can see here's an equation between these generation with this one, and I'm gonna call it Generation C. So Generation C, why does all of these generation can equal Generation C? Because Generation C is not defined by the year you were born. They define it by your own mindset. The C here stands for collaborative, community-orientative, creative, and lastly, connect. a Generation C mindset is that they were always willing to help people to make the problem better, approaching the problem in different ways, and also they make the world a better place. So after you heard that advantages, are you ready for a whole new, I'm sorry. So you remember the power of Generation C is to connecting people, and that is the main key of being Generation C, and that's set in your mindset. And after that, are you ready for a whole new generation with loving, with connecting people, and no more misunderstanding here? And if you are, thank you for listening.